طالب العلم قم لا تنم فإن الزمان أيا طالب العلم قم لا تنم فإن الزمان.
Bismillah, alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Welcome back to another Insight to Islam podcast. I'm your host Ismail Howe, and today I'm joined with a beautiful guest, brother Abdul Malik, who mashallah embraced Islam quite a while ago. So we're going to look into his story and his journey in Islam and try to understand, one, why people becoming Muslim, and what are some of the benefits they find from embracing Islam. Abdul Malik, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
How are you doing, brother?
Alhamdulillah.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, brother. I think one of the important things we have to get across to the to the people in the UK is, one, why are people embracing Islam, and the benefits people are finding when they embrace the religion. So, first of all, I think your situation is quite rare in that you embraced Islam when you was quite young.
Correct, yeah.
14. Was it 14?
Yeah.
14 years old.
2005, yeah, so about 14, 15 years.
Yeah. How did you come to Islam at that age? And what was the response from your parents when you embraced Islam?
Okay, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu wa rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in amma ba'd. So for me, my dad, from a Caribbean background.
Yes.
So both parents, mum and dad, from Jamaica.
From Jamaica, okay.
Jamaica.
Okay.
So generally speaking, Jamaican people, they have this history of, always researching Caribbean people, black people who have influence.
So your family was quite conscious then?
My dad.
Okay.
My dad, he always had the books and the DVDs that you have to watch and,
yes,
these kind of things. So for me, my dad advised me to watch Malcolm X.
Okay. Because he was Muslim, or because why did he promote?
Most so just from a perspective of he's black and he's someone who has a lot of influence.
Okay.
Not so much from the Islamic point of view, or he's a Muslim.
He's a positive role model
for black people who people look to. So me watching the movie,
yes,
it something moved my heart about him.
At 14, that's quite young, but still.
Because as I said, because he wasn't the first person who I looked at in terms of influences. Because obviously my dad's from a Rastafarian background.
Yes.
So Haile Selassie is also someone who we looked at, studied a little bit of his biography just to know some basic information about him.
Yes.
So for me,
so was the Bible ever pushed for you to read? Did you?
Never.
Okay.
Never. But my dad was someone who he did read his Bible.
Yes.
Very regularly too.
Yes.
And he was someone who, when he's reading his Bible, you can't disturb him.
Okay. Okay. Good.
So if you try to speak to him when he's reading his Bible, he won't respond.
Yeah.
And then after he will tell you that, listen, I'm reading my Bible. I don't want anyone
leave him alone. Okay.
He was that kind of individual.
Yeah.
Even though he wasn't religious per se, but when he's reading his Bible, it's just like that's his time.
Yes. Yeah.
So watching the movie of Malcolm X.
What was your conclusion after the movie? What was you thinking? If you can think that far back, yeah.
I think for me, it was more so, is this what Islam is?
Okay.
Because what I got from it is Islam is more so a religion pushed towards black people at the time. That was my mentality at the time. Obviously, doing some more research, we realized that that's not the case.
Yes. I think the end of the movie, you can see where Malcolm X realized what is true Islam.
Yeah, correct.
In that Islam is for all nations, all people.
Yeah.
Not specifically just for black people. And I think once you realise that,
it opens up.
Yes, the reality of Islam. Yeah.
So I even remember one time, the brothers used to do boxing.
Yes.
I think it's near like Loughborough. They used to have like a Nation of Islam centre there.
Okay.
And I remember after that, they actually gave me a DVD, and I was watching. I was thinking, wait, something's not right here.
Yeah.
So for me, something. Still referring back to the movie, as we mentioned that at the beginning we said that Malcolm X, he actually was into black nationalism, these kind of things, and then he actually found true Islam. Yeah. So for me, after getting the DVD and watching that, I was just like, nah, something definitely not.
But I find there is a misunderstanding that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ came for just the Arabs. Yeah. And Islam is just for Arabs.
Yeah.
And if you're a black person, then you have to have a black religion, you have to have a black prophet.
Yeah.
And we need to really tackle this issue to make people understand that Prophet Muhammad being the last prophet came for all of mankind.
Yeah.
No matter where you're from, Africa, Europe, whatever. And I think there's a kind of a misunderstanding that no, Prophet Muhammad just came for the Arabs.
And I think that's a cultural thing too, because
Yeah.
especially coming from the Caribbean. When you tell people you're Muslim and you're Jamaican, they're like, you're following an Asian religion, or it's like that's not the case.
Yes.
You know?
But I'm saying, why don't they have that same understanding when they look at Jesus? Because Jesus was Palestinian. He was an Arab. So is it because the white man brought Jesus over as a white man and they said, okay, he's European, that's closer to us? I don't understand the reality, the fact that all of the religions, people of the book, they come from the Middle East.
Allahu A'lam, but I feel like maybe it's due to all eyes being on Islam.
Yeah.
You know? So you tell someone if someone was to say they took their what do you call that, Christianity, like they convert to Christianity.
Yes.
It's not really that much of a big deal.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. It's not
that much of a big deal.
But Islam is a big deal.
Islam is a big deal.
Yes.
Know? So if someone accepts Islam, it's like, why did you accept Islam?
Yeah. Because Islam is this, is that, etc.
All eyes are on Islam.
So we are fighting a lot of propaganda, a lot of misinformation.
Misinformation, of course. About what Islam is, what our belief system in Islam.
Yes.
You know, a lot of people think that because we're Muslim, we believe in Allah, and Allah is a different God than everything else. And that's not the case.
Subhanallah.
And, this is not the case.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we'll try and clarify some of those things today through our conversation. So you're 14, you've seen the Malcolm X video.
Yeah. You're
thinking Islam is what now? Islam seems correct, it seems right, it seems the right way of life. What's going through your mind?
So at the time I had a friend, Mohammed, we met each other in secondary school.
Yes.
He's from Sierra Leone. So for me, due to me knowing he was a Muslim, and his family was
so same age as you?
Same age as me.
Okay, yeah.
So I was asking him a question about Islam. What's the difference with Islam and Christianity? And he explained some basic stuff to me. And then just going around his family too.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, especially from a Jamaican background, we don't really go to people's house and like eat food and stuff. It's not a cultural thing for us.
Yeah.
Our thing is you eat at home, and then when you go to people's house, it's like, no, I'm okay, I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah.
It's not a thing where we go to people's house, we have food, we have dinner. It's not really a cultural thing. Do you know what I'm saying? So when I went to his house and his family would offer me food and these kind of things, I feel like this is very different.
Yes. They insist you must eat with them.
Exactly.
And if you don't eat with them, they're going to get offended.
Exactly. Where people, if you don't want to eat, it's your business. No one really cares.
Or someone, they'll put you in the front room while they're eating in the back room. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for me, just being around my friend and his family, it opened up another door, because before that time, I've never actually been around a Muslim family. I've had Muslim friends here and there, but never been around a Muslim family. So for me, it was eye-opening for me. It was different. When you're around people who you've never been around before, you more observe. Yes. You observe things,
How the family move together, how they implement their Islam.
It's different,
Yeah.
Obviously, men and women don't really mix. So that's a different, Caribbean, everyone's just mixed together.
Everyone's mixing, yes.
No problem.
Yes.
But obviously, it wasn't like that. So this is different. It's just different for me at the time. Yeah, so I asked him about Islam. He told me some basic things about Islam.
Yes.
So what happened was, in school, we normally, for religious education, we normally study these books. Like, normally you have like a book on Judaism, Christianity, Islam. So for me, I was like, listen, I asked my friend, do you have any like books on Islam? He was like, at the moment, no, I don't have any books. I was like, okay, so the only way I'm going to get a book, I'm going to have to take it from the school.
Okay.
For me to read about Islam, and for me to get more details about Islam, that was the only way for me to do that. There was no other way for me to get books. At the time, I didn't know about going to like Whitechapel, tweeting, buying books. I was 14, 15
You're new now. Yeah, you're a young man now. Yeah.
So that's what I did. So I researched Islam for, I would say, maybe about 6-7 months.
Okay. That's good. Okay.
Researching Islam. And then I made contact with a cousin who I lost contact with. And he was a Muslim. At the time, I can't remember how long he was a Muslim before that. But I know he was a Muslim, he was practicing, he looked very different. Had a beard, very different. Very different to how I'm used to seeing him.
What's the age difference between you and him?
A few years, so maybe about 3-4 years.
Okay.
So Yeah, he was saying...
Was you close with him as a cousin?
When we was growing up, yeah, but then we lost contact.
Yes.
So when I was seeing him and his sister was saying, now he's a Muslim.
Yeah,
you know, so me seeing him for the first time, he had a beard, etc. He's different. Say Assalamu alaikum. I'm like, this is very different to what I remember.
Okay.
You know, so so I researched Islam and then I spoke to my friend and said to him, I'm ready to do my shahada.
You ready?
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
And what was the influence? You know, obviously in your cousin, that must have given you some kind of comfort to say, well, okay.
Yeah.
He's become Muslim. He seems okay. He speaks positive about it. Which area is he from? Which area is your cousin from?
Norwood, these kind of areas.
Okay. And the environment at the time, was Islam prevalent? Was it? There was no effect on the environment on you.
I wouldn't say it's prevalent, but I would say that at the time we knew that a lot of people was accepting Islam for the wrong reasons.
Okay.
At that specific time.
And what would you say would be the wrong reasons to accept Islam?
For acceptance, sometimes. Some people, we knew that a lot of people probably went to prison.
Yes.
And then they accept Islam into prison, maybe due to they was getting pressured, maybe.
Yes.
Some issues were happening in the prison and they knew that to get the protection of the Muslims, they had to become Muslim themselves.
Okay.
You know, obviously without researching Islam, without actually knowing what Islam means, you know, obviously this was an issue. Because a lot of those people realised that because they done that and they didn't research Islam properly, that they eventually fall off, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You know?
So there is, I mean, we got to be maybe real to say that there is some, so you call it hype, some hype about Islam. People embrace Islam for the wrong reasons, and then leave Islam very quickly. Yeah,
because we know that.
But at the same time, someone might embrace Islam for the wrong reason, but still,
100%
carry on the faith.
They say that Islam is the most fastest growing religion, right?
Yes,
and we have a lot of people coming into Islam.
Yeah,
but no one speaks about the people leaving Islam.
Okay,
and this is the issue.
Yes,
you know, because for a lot of people, it's like a revolving door. They come into Islam, they don't get support, and then they leave Islam. So I feel like a lot of times when people are young, they don't get that support system, so they just leave Islam.
Got you. We're going to talk about the support system in the conversation. Okay, so coming to your Shahada, you've now been researching for about 7 months, read some books, cousin's Muslim, friend is Muslim, you're feeling comfortable now. What was the process of entering Islam and how did that go?
So for me, I knew that Ramadan was a month where we had to fast. So I was asking some people, do you think I should take my Shahada in the month of Ramadan? Because I don't know if I can fast this 30 days without, doing, certain things.
Yes, yeah.
And I got bad advice at the time. Obviously, at the time, a lot of us was young, so we didn't really have knowledge.
Yes, yeah.
So a lot of people say, no, just wait until after Ramadan, then you take your Shahada then. So I did that.
Okay.
So my friend, he took me to the local masjid. And I don't know if your Sheikh Wadi gave me my Shahada.
Yes, and that's in Brixton Road. Okay.
Brixton Road Masjid, alhamdulillah. Yeah, so that was my, that was it for me, basically, taking my Shahada.
So now you're Muslim, how old now? 15 now?
About 15, yeah.
15, you got to go and face the parents now. You got to tell your parents now I'm Muslim. How did that go?
Even before that, taking my Shahada, again, cultural difference. Where when you take your Shahada, everyone's coming up to you, hugging you. It's very different. Like, I'm not used to that.
Yes.
We're touching
before. Get off me.
Like, do you understand?
Yes.
So it's very different. Very, very different.
Yeah.
So telling my parents, my dad knew.
Okay.
My dad didn't have any issues with it.
Good.
My dad's only issue was that make sure it's something that you want to do.
Yes. And there's no pressure from no one.
No one's forcing you.
Yeah.
If that's what you believe, then that's your religion.
Okay. Good.
Whereas for my mum, it was a bit more tricky.
Okay.
A bit more tricky in a sense where maybe my mum had a lot of friends who their children became Muslim for the wrong reason also.
Yes.
And I was getting some bad information about people who are accepting Islam.
Yes. Yeah.
And you got to remember that in my family, Islam is foreign. Yes. Except for my cousin, no one else is Muslim.
Yeah. So I think that whole issue about the effects of the propaganda from the media does make accepting Islam a lot more difficult.
Correct, yeah.
For people to understand, there's a lot of baggage, there's a lot of suspicion about Muslims. And I think that hopefully this program like this can kind of push back on that narrative.
And bring some clarity.
So you was a bit more
Reserved in terms of how would the conversation be?
Yes.
Would the conversation go good? Would it go bad?
Okay.
My mum gonna kick me out at the time.
Okay.
I don't know what's gonna happen.
It was at that level. It couldn't happen.
Because I didn't know what was, I didn't know what
Yes.
was going on at the time too. As I said, when I took my shahada, I received the book from the masjid, but no
Yes.
one taught me like how to pray.
Yes.
These kind of things.
Yes.
So for me, salah, how I would pray was just like Islam channel. When they're praying, I just pray with them. I don't know anything else.
Okay. Okay.
So I didn't have that support system there.
Yes.
For me. So just telling my mom was a bit difficult. I didn't know how to tell her.
Yes.
I think I told her maybe like a year into me becoming
Do you think
a Muslim.
it was something we should? It's not saying like break her heart. She'll be unhappy. You ain't got a clue how she's going to react, or you think this is not going to go down well, just from how she would maybe
I
speak
think it
about
wouldn't
Islam.
go down well, and a lot. I think maybe she'll be thinking what other people think about it too.
Yes.
So I think those two perspectives I had to take in consideration at the time. Mm-hmm. So for me, it came to a point. Sometimes you want to tell someone something, and you just don't know how to do it.
Yes.
So
yes.
Me and my friend Mohammed, we used to go to Tooting
Mosque.
like Tooting Mosque.
Yes.
So we used to like buy kufies, buy a phobe, these kind of things. And then we saw like these posters. It shows you how to pray and stuff. So I just bought it just because I didn't know how to pray at the time, right?
Yeah.
So I bought it, and at the time I was thinking, how am I going to tell her that I'm Muslim? I don't know, it's difficult.
Yeah, if I do it,
I'm going to have to do it.
Yeah.
So what I done, I just put the poster up, and I just left for the whole day. For the whole day.
You put it in your
left.
bedroom?
I put it in my bedroom.
Okay.
And I just left. I was hoping that inshallah she sees it.
Yeah.
And then she thinks, wait, hold on, something's clicked. Wait, is he Muslim?
Yeah.
And that conversation will be a bit more easier. She will bring it up.
Yeah.
And then Like this.
I got you.
So my stepdad saw it.
Yes.
And then he was like, oh, well, you're Muslim.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I'm Muslim. He's like, oh, I have some family also back in the Caribbean who's Muslim.
Okay.
I never heard that before.
Yeah.
You know?
So
So
there are a few mosques in Jamaica. Yeah.
Exactly. So that made the conversation with my
A
mum
lot
much more
easier.
easier.
Now. So he was there he was protecting you.
Yeah, he was just like, well, if that's again, my dad was saying the same thing. Now my stepdad's saying the same thing. Like, listen, if that's your religion, then that's your thing, kind of thing. You know?
Yes,
So the conversation with my mum was just like, again, are you forced into? Is there something that you're forced into? Who told you about Islam? So I just run down the situation to her of how I came in contact with Islam,
Good.
etc., etc. So alhamdulillah, I didn't have any issues.
Good.
Alhamdulillah.
Now, obviously, there are expectations of you. Now you've embraced this religion. How are you balancing, your new religion and your interaction with your family? Like, are you praying? You're getting up for Fajr? How is that going, the general relationship in the house with your parents?
I think at the beginning it's difficult.
Yes.
Because a lot of times you don't have knowledge yourself. So a lot of times you don't know how to, for example, if Islam says we can't do something, to us we just say to our parents, well, Islam said we can't do it, so we just don't do it. But you can't sometimes.
You can be a bit rigid, bit harsh without
And that's because
wisdom.
obviously you don't have wisdom. You're still young, you know? So for me, it was difficult at the beginning in terms of like, so for example, in my household where people are playing music, for example, and I want to pray, it's difficult to say, can you guys just turn down the music a bit?
Yes.
Because I want to pray. Everyone's like, why should we turn down the music if you want to pray? If you want to pray, that's your thing.
Your business.
Nothing to do with us.
Go to the mosque, innit?
Go to the mosque or just pray, close the door and pray.
Yeah.
But it's like, I can still hear the music though, so a little bit,
Yeah. So what advice would you give then? Someone who's a new Muslim.
Yeah.
Like you can't expect everyone to jump to your tune. There's got to be some give and take.
There has to be give and take, but I'll say just have sabr, be patient.
Yes.
Because a lot of times Islam is foreign to them.
Yes.
So a lot of times when we understand something, it doesn't mean that they understand something. And especially your parents, you have to have patience.
You have to have patience with them. Yeah. It's their house. You're in their house.
It's like, for example, I remember a few years ago, a brother took his shahada, and he had I think they had like a dog or something in the house. So he was like, no, he wants the dog out. I'm like, bro, but in the household, the dog is a part of the family. Yes. So because you've took your shahada now, the dog can't go. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, you got to be easy.
Alhamdulillah, it would be good if it does go like that. Yeah. But let's just be fair. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, you have to be a bit accommodating to some things. And I think that's part of dawah to your family. Exactly. That you're not now an awkward individual. You're not awkward. And everyone has to run around you.
Exactly. 2 weeks ago, you was walking the dog. Now you're saying the dog has to leave.
You got to have some wisdom. Yeah, that's a note. So if you're a Muslim, take it easy with your family. Definitely. So now, okay, you're taking your shahada now. Everything is good. Family's reacting to you okay. What about this thing of learning? Like, how did you begin to learn the religion, implement like the prayer and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Was it like, well, okay, today you're this person and the next day you're an angel? What's the progression like to kind of try to change your life around and get it in order, get it on the straight path?
I think a lot of times with learning, as they say, if you have a glass, you have to empty it first before you start learning.
Yes.
Because a lot of times we have a lot of pre-notions of what Islam is or what knowledge is, or we know something. You know, a lot of times you have to put that to the side.
Yes.
And actually just start learning from zero.
Yes.
Without any pride, without anything, and just start learning. I think this is the first thing to do.
Okay, how was that practical? Do you have to go to the mosque on a daily basis?
So for me,
attend lectures?
I went to the Brixton Road. They had a madrasa.
Yeah.
So I was learning like Alif Ba Ta with children.
Good.
So a few of my friends, so me, Mohammed, I was like 3-4 of us.
Yes.
Was learning with like children and stuff in the madrasa, learning like basic surahs,
Yes.
tafsir, these kind of things in the masjid.
Yes.
It was difficult because at the time, you know, you have pride.
Yes.
You're like, you know,
you're gonna be sitting there with
16,
children.
They're like 5 and 6.
Yes.
You know, they're messing around. We're just like, listen, we're taking our time out on a Sunday morning to come to madrasa.
Yes.
And the least you guys can do is just like, listen.
MashaAllah, that's very good.
You
That's
know?
very good.
So it was, at the beginning it was difficult.
Yes.
But you don't see the benefit of that until years later.
Yes.
And you start realizing, subhanAllah, at the time.
You can read Quran now.
You can read Quran now.
Yes.
You know, the basic stuff what the Sheikh taught you then, now we start, subhanAllah, now I see it.
Yes.
You know, these kind of things. So you appreciate it more.
Yeah.
And our teacher,
Don't you think that's there's a key point that with Islam, it is about learning and being humble, as you said, starting from nothing, starting from zero, Alif Ba Ta,
yeah.
and then building upon there. Like you have to humble yourself to learn.
Yeah, of course.
And the fact that Islam is a religion of knowledge, where you have to start opening books and learning stuff. How did you find that journey? Obviously we're all still on that journey.
Yeah.
And we get to the fact that you went to Medina to study.
Yeah.
So obviously you enjoyed the learning for you to actually end up going to Medina. How was that progression from that stage to going to Medina? What made you go to Medina to study?
I think so. So the first thing for me, Ismail Bowman, rahimahullah.
Yes, mashallah.
Seeing his video
mercy upon him.
On YouTube, that gave me the first inclination about going to Medina University.
Yes.
Not knowing the procedure of going.
Yes.
I don't think a lot of people know the procedure, you know, before going. There's a lot of paperwork. You know, even a lot of times you think, subhanAllah, is this something I actually want to do? Because just the paperwork is a bit tricky.
So did you go to Medina, or they came to here? And there's, I think, some of the scholars come from Medina here, and then you have a meeting
like,
here.
Interviews and that kind of thing. No, for me, I didn't get any of that.
Okay, you went there?
No, I just applied from here.
Okay.
Yeah, so at the beginning, because I applied, I'll say for about 10 years before I get accepted.
Every year you apply?
Every year.
Okay.
Every year.
Okay.
So what happened first was that me and my friend Mohammed, we applied first.
Yes.
And a brother, I can't remember who it was, a brother, I think he was studying in Kulat Dawa or something.
Yes.
He said to me, are you a revert? I said, yeah. He said, you apply for the Jamia? I said,
Yeah.
He said, yeah. He said, inshallah, don't worry about it, you're going to get in.
Okay.
So in my head, I was thinking,
you're there now.
I'm there, alhamdulillah.
Yes.
You know, alhamdulillah, I got accepted. So I remember I was at my dad's house when the list came out. Mohammed called me, he's like, yeah, the list came out. He sent it to me. I looked at the list, up, down.
Yeah. Nothing
my name's not there.
Yeah.
Again, I think it's subhanAllah, the brother said to me,
Yeah.
if I was a revert,
You get on there.
I'm going to get in.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, let me call the brother.
He's in Medina now, this brother?
Yeah, the brother was in Medina.
Yes.
So I called him. I was like, brother, what's going on? Like, my name's not there. He's like, inshallah, I'll just apply next year. I said,
apply again.
Like, my heart was broken.
Yeah.
He said to me,
built you up. Yeah.
I'm in, you know? And then you start, after speaking to some people, they're just like, yeah, it happens to everybody. kind of thing.
Okay.
So I just ended up just keeping applying, basically.
Every year, made the same application?
Every year.
And after 10 years, you got
the
in?
only thing that changed for me was just like, maybe like my references.
Yes.
These kind of things.
Okay.
And Medina University wasn't the only university I applied for.
Okay.
I applied for Al-Qura. I applied for the university in Qatar. I applied for Kuwait University, everywhere. For me, anywhere that offered a scholarship, I applied for.
Okay, good. You were hungry to go. You really wanted to go.
I really wanted to go. The only university I didn't apply for at the time was Al-Qura when I got to 25.
Okay.
That's the only reason.
Is that the cut-off?
Yeah, because any other university, they allow it. They don't, you know.
Yes.
They allow you.
There's no
the
age
age is
limit.
not age limit. But for al-Qura, when you get to 25, when you're trying to apply, when you put in your date of birth, the whole page just goes black.
Okay. Rejected.
Yeah.
So after 10 years, you got accepted.
Alhamdulillah.
You had patience to apply every year for 10 years.
Yeah. At the time, I was thinking, because I wasn't getting into Medina University, I was thinking to save up some money to go to Egypt.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
But that didn't work out.
Okay.
I've been to Egypt with some friends and stuff just to like travel, but I never went to study. Alhamdulillah, I went to Medina, alhamdulillah.
Yeah. And what was your intention? Like, okay, it's university now. The course is like for, 6-7 years?
Yeah.
What was your aim? Like, you're going to go there and come back as a teacher, as an imam, or you just want to learn the basics of religion? What was your aim?
It was just about learning.
Okay.
Because before I got accepted to Medina, this is what happened. I actually applied for the International University of Africa in Sudan.
Okay.
I applied.
For Islamic studies as well?
Yeah, for Islamic studies. Yeah. They do the same thing as Medina University.
Okay.
The only thing is you have to pay for your housing. That's the only thing. I applied. Alhamdulillah, I knew a brother who knew someone in the administration. Alhamdulillah, I got accepted.
Okay.
But why I didn't go is because they had some issues in Sudan.
Yes.
So that's the only reason why I didn't go. And I was heartbroken because at the time I didn't get accepted to
Medina. So you was looking to go anywhere.
So I was just thinking anywhere to go.
Yeah,
alhamdulillah. I spoke to a few brothers and I was like, listen, Sudan's going to be a bit rough.
Yes.
Like if you go there, inshallah, you're going to come out strong.
Yeah.
But
it's a bit war. There's some war going on and stuff like that.
So alhamdulillah, I think the university said they don't want any international students at the time anyway.
Okay.
So alhamdulillah, I didn't end up going. But then a few months after that, I got accepted to Medina, alhamdulillah.
Excellent. How did you find Medina then? How did you find the culture? Remember, you're leaving from the West, you're going to this Islamic country, they've got the Sharia law there,
Yeah.
They're going to be strict with you. Like, how did you find it?
So for me, I don't think that was an issue. I think for me, it was just telling my parents first.
Exactly, because as I said, just what I said, they're going to have all these crazy images about what are you going there for? They're going to chop off your hand. Like, what's the reality of Saudi Arabia?
And especially, I was older too when I got accepted.
Yes.
So for
How old are you now?
Now 33.
No, when you got accepted?
29.
Okay, you're a big man now, 29, yeah.
So I was just telling my parents now I want to go.
Yes.
My dad, alhamdulillah, my dad's always just chilled out.
Yes.
You want to go to Saudi Arabia? No problem, you can go. No issue.
Yeah.
My mom was just like, so why do you want to go to Saudi Arabia? You know? And then propaganda.
Yes,
again,
you're going to join ISIS,
like,
you're going to join Al-Qaeda or something.
You know? And then, but alhamdulillah, for me, what I used to do sometimes, just as a form of hikmah, sometimes when we'd be like at home eating breakfast, I would put on like, like these interviews about Medina University.
Yes.
These are like the benefits, these are what the students do, these are the students, the housing situation. So that kind of made it a little bit easier for her.
Okay, good.
So I would play it, and she probably thinking I'm playing the same thing. But for me, I'm like, I want you to hear it. I want you to see people's experience of how people live in Medina. Because to them, it's like Saudi Arabia, it's desert.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, it's quite sad, actually. And I think this is obviously intentional. That anything to do with Islam and Muslims and Muslim countries, we have to fight the propaganda that is being pushed about, Muslims and their countries. It's really... One, it's unfair, it's untrue, but that's the reality we live in today.
And unfortunately, it's like, how do you, push back these propagandas in the correct way?
Yeah, it's difficult. It is a losing battle, but all we can do is come here and discuss and tell people the truth about what it's like.
Clarify to people, of course.
Yeah. So you got to Saudi Arabia. How was it? How was your
Alhamdulillah,
time?
best choice I ever made.
Okay.
Alhamdulillah, even going to Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
My mom was crying.
Okay. She thinks she's not going to see you again. Where are you going, my son? You sure?
Exactly.
Okay.
At first, my son started crying.
Yeah.
And then my mom started crying. And I said to my mom, don't cry, because if you cry, I'm definitely going to cry.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, alhamdulillah, I got to Saudi Arabia. Alhamdulillah, I made knew a few people from there anyway who were studying, some brothers who were doing like masters who kind of helped me to sort some things out.
Yeah.
So for me, alhamdulillah, when I got to Medina, I didn't have to do like the running around.
Your paperwork,
alhamdulillah, I didn't have to do none of that.
Okay,
alhamdulillah.
good.
The only issue for me was that I got there quite late. I got to Medina quite late. I got there like 2 a.m.
Okay.
So administration and stuff was closed.
Yes.
So I had to stay in the hotel.
You had to catch them. Okay.
And then,
do your paperwork and stuff.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. So for me, it was a smooth transition, alhamdulillah.
Okay. So the first few years in Saudi Arabia, in Medina, you do your
diploma,
which is in Arabic and basic Islamic studies, or
so So you know the Medina books.
Yes. Okay.
So I think in the UK, or just generally, people think the Medina series is just the 3 books, which is, that's the main ones, but you also have the side books.
Okay.
So in the Islamic University of Medina and the Ma'had, in the Arabic Institute, you also study the side books. So you study, let's just say, for example, from about 8 till Dhuhr time, so about 1.
Yes.
So that's all your studies that you do, basically.
Okay. What's the main driver now for you going? Because people say, well, okay, if I embrace Islam, does that mean I have to go to an Islamic university? Or is it the fact that you wanted to study at that level? Because people are thinking, okay, at what level do I need to study? What are the obligatory things that I have to study?
Yeah.
And if I want to go further to university, you have the option.
Yeah.
But for you, you wanted to study a bit further. You wanted to understand the Quran in Arabic, or what? What was the driver?
So for me, I think that because before I went to the Islamic University of Medina, I was keeping myself busy in terms of learning Arabic.
Yes, while you're in the UK.
While I'm in the UK. Even I studied at Medina College, done my diploma at Medina College before even going to...
Okay, you was ready then. You was ready.
Yeah. So I was trying to prepare myself as much as possible.
Yes.
But I feel like with the Islamic University of Medina, as much as you feel like you're prepared, there's nothing can prepare you for it until you go.
What's going on? Okay.
Until you go there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what in regards to the intensity, or
in terms of the intensity one, a lot of people think that when you go into, like, for example, you study in level 1, they're gonna teach you, they're gonna speak to you in English. That's not the case. Everything in Arabic.
Okay.
Everything's in Arabic.
Good.
So, you know, let's say, for example, you have a problem with your room, for example, the muqayyif, the AC isn't working.
Yeah.
You have to speak to the guy in Arabic.
Good.
Now, if your Arabic isn't good, how do you speak to him?
Yeah. You got to make it work.
You know, you have to make it work, kind of thing.
Yes.
So these things, you know, like, for example, for me, most people have like a foreign roommate, but for me, my roommate was English.
Yes.
So I didn't have that issue of not being able to speak to my roommate and stuff, you know.
But he could translate if you needed anything.
No, he was
new as well.
Yeah, he was English too. He knew English, so we didn't really have that issue. But a lot of brothers, they have that issue. How do I speak to him? How do I say to him, you know, at certain times, bro, can you please turn the lights down? Or I don't want friends coming in and out of the room, like, you know.
So
these like, for us, it's small things, but when you're living inside Arabia by yourself, it's the small things that you really, you know?
Yeah, they really
like,
push
for example, when a brother was coming for Umrah.
Yes.
And he's like to me, oh, what do I want? I was just like, I want bonbon biscuits. He's like, that's it? He's like, that's it? I was like, bro, I haven't had that for months. Yeah. And I've been looking for it in Saudi Arabia and I didn't get it. But it's the small things, you know?
Yeah.
And obviously just missing your family, these kind of things.
Well, okay, big thing, what is the difference, what would you say the main difference, living in a Muslim country? Like, you've left the West and now you're in a Muslim country. What are the main things that stick out to you?
You just have a lot of freedom. Like, a lot of people may say, you know, just like, for example, a woman covering in the UK or a man just wearing a thobe in the UK, you might get stares, you might get looks, you might get even, you know, some comments here and there.
Yes.
But in a Muslim country, there's nothing to worry about because everyone's doing the same thing anyway.
So you fit in easily then? You fit in, you're chilled?
Even the general people that I want, they all wear phobes and shimag and stuff. So it's just a common thing.
Okay.
You know? Another thing is just hearing the adhan.
Yes.
You know? We don't really notice it because we're here in the UK. But when you're a Muslim country and you can actually hear the adhan.
Yes.
It's
big difference.
You know? Crime.
Yes.
When I was in Saudi Arabia, I think I lost my wallet like twice or 3 times.
Yes.
And alhamdulillah, my wallet was returned back to me.
MashaAllah. I
remember I was going to class one day, going to the Ma'had, I was actually running late.
Yes.
And when I got to the Ma'had, you know, something just tells you just like check your pocket, something's not right. And I actually lost my wallet. So in my head I was thinking I have all my bank cards, everything. And a lot of countries, they're not like how UK is. So in UK, you use your card, 3 to 5 working days, you get it. Saudi Arabia might be 2 months.
Yes.
It might be 2 months. And that's 2 months, like you go in there and saying to them like, what's going on? Et cetera.
Yeah.
So like when these things can actually be returned to you, just like, alhamdulillah, I'm in a Muslim country. Because if I wasn't in a Muslim country, I know I'm not gonna...
You're not gonna get...
If I lost my wallet in the UK...
Yeah, I mean, sometimes people do return it or they do... Some people might post it back to you, but it's rare.
It's rare. It's rare.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. So the adhan, You think that there's less crime.
Less crime, yeah.
There's crime there. What about the people? How do they accept foreigners there? How do you intermingle with the locals there?
That's a question that you always hear. You know, people say that, you know, certain Muslim countries, they're racist and these kind of things. So the first thing I ask people is that, how do you know they're racist if you don't even understand Arabic language? It's impossible for you to know someone's racist if you can't even communicate with them.
Yes.
You know, that's number one. And then the next thing I would say, generally speaking, the people are quite friendly.
Yes.
Especially if they know that you've come to their country to seek knowledge. They're generally speaking, very friendly. There've been multiple times where like me and friends would be like going to a restaurant and the guy behind us will hear us speak in English.
Yes.
And they'll say to us, where are you guys from? Have a conversation with us. But you guys are Tulab, students from the UK, I'll pay for your meal. Multiple times. You know?
Yeah, like the culture. What's the culture? I heard they're very generous.
Very generous.
Arabs are very generous, very welcoming. Like you're more of a guest in their country.
Of course. You could meet someone today, have a good conversation with them.
Yes.
And they'll be like, take my number, you come to my house tomorrow for dinner.
Yes.
With Jamaican culture, no one isn't doing that. No one even wants you to know where they live.
Yes.
You know?
I think in the West, we are very individualistic kind of thing. We look after ourselves and we're very wary of strangers.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is. Is it because of fear of crime?
Maybe society. This is how society is.
Yeah.
In the West, unfortunately, you know.
I'm saying this issue being a fundamental thing. Like you're leaving from the West and you're going to the East.
Yeah.
Why is it that people are so welcoming in one place and not so welcoming in another place? What are the environment? Is it because they're religious in one place and less religious?
I'll say Islam. Because Islam puts a heavy emphasis on just being kind to people.
Yes.
You know, so I'll say definitely Islam.
And the fact that we are brothers as Muslims.
Exactly. So even if you and someone never met each other before.
Yes.
You and someone, you're different cultures, different races.
Yes.
Maybe even different language.
Yes.
But we both believe the same thing. We're brothers in Islam.
Yeah. I mean, and you know, it comes to mind the fact that Allah has established Muslims on the level of brothers.
Exactly.
It's not like, well, you're just a guy next door, you're my colleague, you're my neighbor. No.
Yeah.
We are brothers and sisters. And that's how we treat each other, no matter where you come from. So when you do come off the plane and you land in Saudi, Assalamu alaikum Sheikh, Assalamu alaikum, kif halak. It's just like there's no barrier, there's no there's no suspicion.
That's like when a lot of people say when they go to like Muslim countries, especially like Saudi Arabia, these places, they feel like they're back home.
Yes.
It's like it's chilled, there's nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think it's only when like obviously people from the West travel to the Middle East, will they see the difference in culture and, as a word I'm looking for, how they treat guests when they're coming over. Generosity, And I think that there's something we can definitely learn in the West that we need to pick up from.
Yeah.
So mashallah, you was there for how long now? How long was you?
2 years.
You finished the program?
I finished the program, yeah.
Okay, and then you said you had to come back. What?
Yeah, so what happened, my last semester, I was speaking to my mum. So my mum and my dad broke up when I was very, very young.
Yes.
But because they live so close, it's just like, you know. So my mum said she went to go see my dad because before leaving to go to Medina, my dad actually had a stroke.
Okay.
But the stroke didn't really affect him too much. It just affected his hearing.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
So my mum went to visit my dad for me, just make sure everything's okay.
Yes.
And she said that she was...
So there was no physical ailment, just his hearing was affected?
His hearing, and he's walking a little bit. Okay. But it wasn't nothing to worry about too much. Yeah. You know? Because he was getting like physio, these kind of things. Yeah. So it wasn't nothing to worry about. So my mum said to me that she'll show my dad some pictures of me. He couldn't remember who I was. Okay. So I was thinking, I don't understand. What do you mean he doesn't understand who... He didn't understand... Like, was it a situation where you showed him the pictures and he was just like, he doesn't want to see me? Or I was trying to understand. He was like, no. I showed him multiple pictures of you. Yeah. He said he doesn't know who you are. So I was thinking, okay, this is a little bit worrying. Yeah. You know? Yeah. So some tests was done and we realized that my dad actually had dementia. Okay. Actually had dementia. Yeah. So at the time, just finishing my last semester of the Ma'had. Yes. I was in a bit of a predicament.
Yes. He lives by himself now?
He lives by himself.
Okay. Got you.
So I was thinking, what do I do? Do I carry on my studies into the kulliyah, or do I go? So for me, I was thinking, let me ask some scholars who I was close with. So one of them was Sheikh Adil Rahili. I was asking him, you know, one of those questions you ask someone, but you know the answer they're gonna tell you.
Yes.
You know? So I asked him, Sheikh, you know, this is my situation. You know, my dad's ill. I'm just about to finish the ma'had. You know, I want to go to the kulliyah. What's your advice? So Sheikh said to me, listen, the ma'had teaches you the basics you need to know in your religion. This is the basic you need to know. You don't have to study in the kulliyah
to get that.
You know, you don't have to do it. But if your dad needs you, then there's something that it's fard upon you to go back.
To go look after your father, yes.
You know, so I had to come back. And I asked someone else, another sheikh, he said the same thing to me.
And you said another thing, the obligation of looking after your parents. I don't think the people in the West understand how much the status of your parents in Islam. Looking after them, caring for them is an obligation. So you had to pack up your stuff and get back home to go look after your dad.
It's just like many times in the Quran, Allah mentions to worship Him and to be good to the parents. Many times in the Quran. So for me, even though I applied for the Jamia for so many years, and for me, my heart was, you know,
you wanted to finish it.
I wanted to finish because I applied for I took so long to get accepted. So now I'm only here for 2 years. It's just like I was meant to be here for 6. You know, another 4.
You got cut out.
But I had to go back. So just just coming back.
So you finish Arabic now. Your Arabic was good level now?
I could understand. I think the first time you come back, you're just like a bit shaky because you think, subhanAllah, you know, it's a jump. I feel like when you come back, then you're fine. You know, just settle into the countries is one thing. I was just like getting hold of the lugha.
Understanding the Quran, reading the
Quran. When you understand other texts, these kind of things. And also in Medina, you also have the Masjid al-Nabawi.
MashaAllah.
So these things actually help too. You can find a Quran teacher. You can, you know, even people who go for like Umrah. When you go into Masjid al-Nabawi, you can actually find teachers who you can just go to and just read to.
MashaAllah.
You know, you don't have to be like to sign up and to be assigned a teacher. A lot of them, they have like signs there. Like foreigners can just go there and then you can just read to them.
How did you find that then?
For me...
So what was after you done your studies in the university, you then go to Prophet's Mosque and find other teachers?
I just had a Quran teacher. So for me, I had a Quran teacher, which took me a few months to get because it's like you have a Quran teacher and then you don't like his style. And then you can find another Quran teacher. And then for me, then the brother was like, listen, you're just going to keep going around.
Sit down with one person.
So you just need to find one person. So alhamdulillah, I found Sheikh Muhammad Ashari Al-Hafidh. A friend of mine introduced me to him. The Sheikh had me on Surah Al-Fatiha for 1 month.
MashaAllah.
1 month. Even I was getting worried. I said, subhanAllah, is my Fatiha not good? So all the brothers I would go to, I said, bro, can I just take like 5 minutes of your time? You just hear my Fatiha, just hear if I'm... And they'll be like, no issues. What's the problem? So I was like, listen, the Sheikh, he's had me on, you know, for like a month. And then I spoke to the brother who introduced me to the Sheikh. And he said, listen, he's testing you. You know, this is his test to make sure you're serious. So if you don't have sabr in the Quran...
So can we hear your Fatiha? Can we hear it?
Maybe later.
Maybe later, inshallah. I want to hear your Fatiha. Must be beautiful, inshallah. Excellent. So you've come back now, but did you still have that drive to carry on studying now? Or
for me, I still had the drive to come back and study. And I kind of wanted to carry on. So for me, what I did... we have groups, like, you know, the Jamia has like British students who have groups and stuff. So a lot of times when programs come up, they will post it. So for me, alhamdulillah, I found out about a program. There's a program called Ta'heel al-Fiqhi. So they, generally speaking, in every madhab they have a book. So the Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi'i, Hanbali. There's books for every science. So for me, I've done the Hanbali one. So you study fiqh, usul al-fiqh, and
this is online. This is
online.
You're at home now, back in the UK.
Back in the UK.
Looking after dad, still studying. Good.
And still working.
Good. And holding down a full-time job now. MashaAllah.
So you study all of those sciences with the Sheikh, Sheikh Ahmed Bahjat, Hafidhullah. You study it for 6 months.
Okay. I mean,
6 months program.
This is another important point. The life of the Muslim, he's busy. there is your obligation to your parents, then you have to work, and the obligation to your wife and your children, fulfilling your obligations as a Muslim to Allah, learn it. Like, there's no time for loafing, really.
There's not. So one person said to me, if you don't use your time beneficially, obeying Allah, then your time will be disobeying Allah. Yes.
And I think that is a very, very important point. If your time is not used obeying Allah, it's going to be used disobeying Allah. So we have to use our time wisely.
And we ask Allah for, barakah in our time.
Ameen. So you're back, you're studying, you're working, looking after your dad. And now what's your vision now, if you was to, summarize what you're doing now and how Islam has kind of put you in a direction, or said to you, this should be your focus? What are you kind of doing now then?
So for me, alhamdulillah, I'm a student in SOAS University doing a BA in Arabic.
MashaAllah, excellent.
So alhamdulillah, I'm enjoying that, alhamdulillah.
Yes.
So I think what Islam has done for me is brought perspective in terms of my life, how I live my life on a daily basis.
Purpose.
So for example, normally, if you're a Muslim, the day is surrounded around the salah.
Yes.
There's no way to get around it.
Yes.
So
what do you think? I mean, when people hear, oh, you pray 5 times a day, that's long, that's difficult. What do you think that does for the individual? Like the regimental, getting up for Fajr, and then you've got to stop at lunchtime, and then you're between lunch and Maghrib, and then Maghrib and Isha. Like, for us as Muslims, it's beautiful. Like, we just get on with it.
Yeah.
How can you explain that to the wider people, to the audience that are watching? Like, they may see it as a task, like 5 times a day. How do you do that? But they don't understand that it's a blessing, it's a mercy.
For the audience, us as Muslims, we put God first.
Yes.
At all times. So for us, the salah it's not even regimental, it's just an obligation for us.
Yes. Yes.
It's just like, for example, fasting. When some people speak about fasting, they speak about all the benefits of fasting. This is good, but Allah commanded us that this is something we have to do. So it's about living our life within the framework of Islam.
Yes. Yes. I mean, they may not understand, like, why would you rush to the prayer? Why would you want to go and pray? Like, for us, getting that spiritual time is beautiful. To be able to leave your daily mundane tasks and go spend some time contemplating the reality of life, speaking to your Lord. It's like a reset. For me, it's like a spiritual reset. Like, I needed that. Now let me go back into the worldly affairs. You know what I'm saying? The worldly chores. And then you get them done, and you got another break, another spiritual break where you can take 5-10 minutes out, relax yourself. And this is what I think society needs. Because in the West, we are like robots, just
everything's rushed, everything's work,
consuming and working and consuming and trying to achieve material gains. But people need spiritual break.
Of course,
they need a break in their routine to contemplate what's important. What are the main important things? What am I doing here? What's life about? What's my priorities? Like, instead of just saying, I've got to get this money in so I can pay my mortgage, pay my car, got to go on holiday, my kids, my da-da-da-da. Although we have to deal with that.
Of course,
Without having that spiritual break, it must be just hard. It must be so much harder.
I think some people, because they're not Muslims, maybe they won't get it.
They won't get it. They don't. Listen, man. I mean, sometimes I think to myself, just going on a tangent. The mosque is such a beautiful place. I might be driving around because I do like maintenance. So I'm driving around, and then it's like, it's door time. I'm going to stop, park up, running. And the mosque is just like, wow. I don't even want to leave the mosque to go back to work. But I know I've got another 5 jobs to do. But that time spent in the mosque praying, and I've just like forgotten about, I got to fix something and there's a leak. I'm not even there anymore. I'm thinking about my Lord, seeking forgiveness. It's just a different life, man. Listen, people got to go to the mosque, man. I'm telling you. I don't know even how to get it across to the people, but it's just a different thing, man.
It's a different vibe. It does something to your heart, 100%.
And the point is that when you live a materialistic life, always chasing the dollar, you're always going to be disappointed. Do you get what I'm saying? You'll be up one day, down another day. It's just like, no, you need the spiritual time out. You need to take time out to say, time out.
Everything gets on pause.
Yeah.
To
reflect on life, reflect on where you are as an individual, and then go back at it again. It's just like having a spiritual boost 5 times a day. It's a ni'mah. So sorry for that tangent. So now, for example, you're doing your studies. What do you want to do with your studies? Like, we spoke about what Islam does for the man. It makes him deal with his responsibilities. Yeah. You're studying. As Muslims, we always study. We never give up studying. We never give up learning. Muslims are not supposed to be ignorant. Yeah. Especially of their obligations to Allah. Yeah. Right? Then he's got his parents, he's got his wives. The man has a role to play in society. Islam makes you be that man. Yeah. To fulfill your obligations, so you don't fall short, because you have to answer to him on the day of judgment. Yeah. So what you want to achieve with your studies then? Where is it going to go?
So for me, I have a few things that I want to achieve. Yes. I think one is translation. I want to get into translation.
Okay.
Another thing is getting into education.
Yes.
I feel like the tarbiyah of the children is very, very important.
Okay.
And I feel like a lot of times, parents, they neglect their children in terms of Islamic education.
Yes. Yes.
Due to, as we said, the rat race of the dunya.
Yes.
Always having to work. And I feel like even sometimes for teachers teaching children, for a lot of teachers is systematic. Yes. I have a job, I have to, but I feel like for me, it's someone who's coming into Islam.
Yes.
I see it from a whole different perspective.
Got you. Got you.
I feel like a lot of times one teacher can make a big difference on a child.
On children. Yeah. Would your teaching methods be applicable to a Western society, if you get what I'm saying? Like the pressures on young children these days, many issues they're facing with, and you want to take that child and give him some moral direction. It's not about, okay, you're going to read this Quran or read this hadith without explain to him why this is important for you at your particular age and what the dangers in society are.
I feel like a lot of times it's about understanding.
Yes.
Because someone can, for example, maybe someone can memorize a lot, for example.
Yes.
But it's about, do you understand what you actually read?
Yes.
And can you actually implement it in your life? And contemplating of what you've understood. So I feel like these points are important, especially the teacher actually being open and being honest with the student.
Yes.
Making themselves accessible to the student.
Yes.
Especially some teachers, they don't really like that because they feel like them being too accessible, they're always going to be bombarded with questions and...
Yes.
But I feel like if you're in that field of teaching, you have to be accessible.
Okay, being a teacher who... what's the word I'm looking for? I said accessible, but understands where the youth are coming from.
Exactly.
You understand, you're not like aloof from them. You're like, I know where you're coming from. I've been there, I've been through it.
I've done that. So I understand the doubts and things that you may come with.
Yes.
I understand where you're coming from.
Yes.
But at the same time, with doubts, if you don't have what do you call that? Like a fundamental.
Yes.
You can go anywhere.
Yes.
And Islamically, we always have principles in our religion. So trying to, teach someone that, listen, these fundamentals are in Islam, they're there for a reason.
Yes.
They're not just there for no reason. There's a purpose for them.
Purpose, yes.
So if you go out of that boundary, you're going to come with doubts. Why? Because there's boundaries there for a reason.
Yes. Mankind, all of us need boundaries.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, the West... I don't know, it just promotes we should always be pushing against boundaries, stretching boundaries, breaking boundaries, break the rules, be free, be open, and it leads to whatever we see in society today.
It's like, for example, someone who doesn't know their own belief properly. Yes. But they want to learn other people's belief.
Yes. They're going to get shaken.
And then you complain when you have doubts.
Yes.
Well, obviously, if your fundamental isn't strong,
yes,
You know, it's not for everyone to go out there and research other people's belief system.
Yes.
You know?
Yep.
So it was compulsory upon you to learn your own.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
So
I mean, for the average Muslim, someone who's embraced Islam, how should they learn? What should be like their learning program?
Yeah.
Like within the first 2 years, for example, what would you encourage them to do? Go to the mosque, go to a circle? What would you encourage them to do within, say, like the first 2 years?
So I'll say first thing, if you can go to a mosque and maybe try to get someone who can be like your, not advisor, but like someone who you can ask questions to, who someone can teach you the basics of your religion, because that's what you're going to need.
Yes.
You're going to need to know, for example, how to pray.
Yeah.
That's going to be farded upon you.
Yeah.
You know,
your first obligation is your connection with Allah, your prayer.
You need to know how to pray. And if you need to know how to pray, then you definitely need to know how to make wudu. Yes. You know? So you need to know the basic things in your religion. Sometimes for the revert, you're bombarded with so many things.
Yeah.
You need to change your name.
Yeah.
You need to do this.
Leave that stuff.
You need to do that. It's sometimes, and it can be too much.
Yes.
You know? So focus.
Stick to the imam in the mosque.
Yeah, stick to the basics. And if you can try to get involved in your community, try to do that. Because a lot of reverts, they feel a bit away from the community. Yes. You know? Yeah. Because number one, they feel like, you know, these people, they have all this knowledge. You know, I'm an outsider. You know?
But I think if you... I mean, the community in the mosque should be welcoming. Yes. So it shouldn't be difficult for a new Muslim to be embraced.
Correct.
It shouldn't be. Yeah. But in certain systems, you have to jump in and say, I'm available, what can I do? Yeah. Is there anything going on? Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to engage in your local Muslim activities. And the masjid or the mosque should embrace you. That should be the default position of the mosque. That should be the
default position, but unfortunately we hear something different.
Yes, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, you know, where a lot of reverts just feel a bit out from the community. No one helping them. You know, when they try to speak to the imam or other people in the mosque, they don't get the same, you know,
feedback. Yeah, this is something we have to sort out in the mosque. That our masajid and our imams must be more considerate and more embracing of new Muslims from different cultures and different backgrounds.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like just if you're a new revert, focus on the basics. Yeah, and enjoy the process. Yeah, you know, because a lot of us, when we first became Muslim, you're trying to do too many things at once. Yeah. You're trying to go to this lesson, this lesson, this lesson. You're also trying to learn the basics of your religion. It's too much at the same time. You know, so if you can have one class that you go to, for example, you go to a class every Friday, for example. Yes. You know, and you also have like an advisor or someone who can, you know, it's not all the time about teaching. It's about just having that person who you can
confide in, someone to, yes.
You know, I don't necessarily have to teach you all the time, but we can go for a coffee. Why not?
Yeah. You got you, definitely.
So... It's just a small thing.
Yeah.
The revert, he appreciates the small thing. Yeah. Because the larger things in Islam, the technical things, he doesn't even know about, generally speaking, anyway.
Yes.
So the small things is what he appreciates.
Yes. Brother of the mind, I've taken up your time. We'll finish on what advice would you give to someone who's looking into Islam? Someone who's like curious. What advice would you give them?
I'll say the first thing, as we mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, is empty your cup.
Yeah. Come with a clear heart, open heart.
Exactly. So if you have misconceptions, you're already starting in the wrong place.
Yes.
You know, so empty your cup first and do your own research.
Yes.
And if it's possible, go to a local mosque and ask questions.
Yes.
You know, because as much as people say bad things about the mosque, we're actually very open people. So if you come and you have questions about Islam, people will answer you. Yes. You know, people will be open about their belief system, etc. That's one thing us as Muslims, we don't hide. We don't hide our belief system.
Yeah. So you recommend for the average person, go to the local mosque, go speak to the imam. And they should be welcoming. They should welcome with open arms and say, come in and ask any questions.
And do research. Thorough research from Muslims.
Yes.
You can't do research about Islam, about authors who are not Muslim. I feel like it's best to do research from
Muslims themselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's the best thing to do.
Khalas. Okay, Abdul Malik, it's been a pleasure. I think that you've given us a lot of insight into your journey, the benefits where you are now, the perspective that Islam has given you, and may Allah bless you on your journey. Thanks for your time, brother.
Thank you for having me.
And thanks for watching. Please subscribe to our channel. Inshallah, we'll see you in the next podcast. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.